Live.
Now we are live, so Ethan, stop saying all those racist things. Now we are on the air, so please don't embarrass us again. Ethan, how come you always say things about people of different races than you, or different religions, or different genders? Jeez, you're such a douche.
Thank you, Phil. It's good to see you too.
That just got worse and worse.
I'm just trying to distract us long enough so I can finish transforming.
Yeah, would you hurry up so we can finish the show? I'm tired. I want to watch Game of Thrones. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Heaven forbid I keep you away from your.
That's all I've got, man.
Sword and sorcery mumbo jumbo. Ooh, I'm the queen of the dragons. Ooh-de-doo.
My hand is filthy. Look at that.
What? What?
Handling all those dusty cartridges.
Oh.
Oh, so one thing real quick, I want to send out a link for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here. All right.
What?
So it is.
Now he's a car. Now he's a car. He used to be a robot, but now he's a car.
He's like a robot in disguise now.
He is. You wouldn't know that he's a robot because he's a car.
I don't like his coloring.
You know, he's a Beast War homage character. So I also got this guy as well. He's another BotCon figure.
Nice.
Yeah, he's. This guy is a very obscure homage to an old Beast Wars Happy Meal toy. If you want crazy, obscure Transformers crap. Yeah. Exactly. What is this? Ethan just said. You know why I love having Ethan on the show? Because he starts sending out links from like Goldman Sachs.
That's a good one, man.
Jesus Christ. More hard-hitting industry analysis from Ethan. You do know we're just supposed to make like fart jokes and stuff, right, Ethan?
What did you say?
Ethan's here trying to turn this into a legitimate show.
No, it's just it's an interesting thing. It talks about the fact that basically everyone dramatically underestimated the long-term value of console gaming, and now everyone's saying go back to console gaming. That's where the money is, because it went from 80 publishers to 10 basically. So the guys that stuck with it are reaping the benefits in a really big way.
You know what you should do, Ethan?
What?
Is write down your thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Slap a couple pie charts on it and sell it to Polygon.
Okay, let's start the show.
Stewart's got no time for that.
We've dicked around enough. I've let you. You showed up late, and that's cool because it was a family thing.
It was
and
a family
thing.
thing.
Screw around a little bit more so you could transform your Transformers.
That's right.
You got it all out of your system.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I know. That's wishful thinking on my part.
Yes.
Love you, Phil.
Fart noise! Everybody gather round, girls and boys. We're gonna have some fart noises. Go on.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Is that
Let's
like your
clap.
best? All right.
Good clap. 3.
Fart noise. Here
2.
comes the fart noise.
1. Phil, shut up. Let's do this
That
again.
was terrible.
It was.
Fart noise.
No, seriously, stop. So it's easy. I can edit this, and you can't. I mean, I'm happy for you to screw around with CJ, but I don't have any time.
Let's clap.
3, 2, 1.
Now, see,
Close
that was
enough.
lovely.
Yep.
That was lovely.
That was good enough, which has been our motto for 10 years.
Good enough for you, it's good enough. For me, it's good enough. It's good enough for me. Did you ever see that movie, Gremlins? The theme song to the movie Gremlins. That's by Debbie Gibson, or Debbie Harry, I believe. One of the Debbies.
Sam
Back
Raimi
in
did
the
the
day.
video, actually.
Well, of course he did. With all the greatest
that's-
UFC
I
champions
forgot
of the day.
Forgot about Sam
Andre
Raimi.
the Madman. And the Super Macho Guy. Randy Fierce.
He wasn't even in the video.
And the Incredible Hulk.
Randy.
Look
Fierce.
out, don't make him angry. You'll dislike his anger when he's angry. And of course, everyone's favorite Admiral Lou. Admiral Lou Albino. The super pale UFC reigning champion. It was nominated for a Hollywood Award. I could do the whole show like this. Let's begin, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, the super players. Join us for Talks of Gamings. Ethan, tell us what you've been playing. I understand there's a new Ratchet game out. Nurse Ratchet, the villainous character from To Kill a Mocking Horse. The story of an insane asylum where Joker Nicholson has to escape by killing an Indian and throwing him out the window. It was my directorial debut, starring Bruce Campbell as the drinking fountain.
I would actually see that.
Now imagine that for about 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's what it was like working at Game Now magazine.
I thought you were describing what marriage is like for Dana.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that's what it was like to be on the set of Spider-Man 2.
Oh
Toby
my
just
God.
asking if can we just start filming now? Hold on, I have more tales to tell of old Hollywood days.
It doesn't matter that doesn't sound at all like Sam Raimi either.
No, I know. That's the best part.
What? Okay, tough guy. What does Sam Raimi sound like?
Not
Phil.
that.
Do you know
Phil.
that for sure?
How about you
Yeah?
retweet the link that I just tweeted out for the hangout here?
Okay. Let me
Not
see
for people
here.
to join the hangout, but to watch it.
Okay, I'll retweet. Retweet. There we go.
Thanks. Okay. Let's get
Now,
started.
now another 7 people
No.
will know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what's going on?
Your followers have gone up. Hello and welcome.
I didn't even try and mess you up that time.
Hello and welcome to episode 495 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, May 3rd, year of our Lord 2016. I'm your host, Greg Stewart. CJ took another week off, called in sick.
CJ just sick of
He's
us now.
He's a high-powered producer now. He doesn't need to busy himself with us.
You know what? Let's not invite him to episode 500.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, how important has he been to the show, really?
Minimal at best.
That high-pitched, squeaky voice you're hearing is our host from the West Coast, Phil Theobald.
And Greg,
Yes.
on this auspicious day, might I say, may the 3rd be with you.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
It's like a freight train.
Every day
Can't be stopped.
for the next 4 weeks.
Can't be stopped.
Follow Whimsical Phil on Twitter.
I actually haven't done that in years at this point.
You did it
But people-
last year.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
No,
It feels
I
like you do it
think
every year.
I think.
You're
Well,
just
that's the thing.
your
I-
foolishness. It's
I did
always
it-
there.
I did it one year, several years ago, and then every subsequent year, everyone's just like, "Oh, you're gonna do it again? Oh, it's so annoying, but you have to do it." And I never do, and everyone just kind of assumes that I did. So,
All right.
What can I do?
Returning for
Yeah.
yet another week as the third chair because CJ can't be bothered to show up. We've got Mr. Ethan Einhorn.
It's great to see you guys again.
Is it?
I
now?
love.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice.
It's really nice. Yeah.
That's really sweet of you.
Yeah.
I love how you stay quiet until you're introduced. That's something that Phil stopped doing about
Very
479
professional of him.
episodes ago.
Yeah.
Well,
Very
we could change that
professional.
up and have another one of those 4-hour podcasts that some of the other guys do. You know.
No, thank you.
Let me tell you about what snacks I've been enjoying this week. Do you know Sprite Tropical Mix is back for a limited time only? Huh?
Drink carbonated beverages.
I get a nickel from the Coca-Cola company every time I mention that.
I thought
So
you were going to say every time you recycle the bottle. Like, Phil, they do that for everybody.
no, I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, not in my state.
Really?
I'm looking at them. Nope.
Really? You're
Nope.
granola crunching,
Nope.
long hair having,
Boy, if I was in Michigan, I'd get a...
wearing state doesn't give you money to recycle those bottles.
Nope. What the hell state is ME?
Maine.
Maine, yeah. Maine,
Why do
Vermont,
I know
Connecticut.
that?
Wait, is it?
You don't know
Okay,
that.
yeah. Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Hawaii, Oregon, and Iowa get a nickel. Michigan gets a dime. So
Nice.
Well, that's because they don't have any drinkable water.
if you ever needed an excuse to go move to Detroit, there you go.
There's a
Extra.
reason.
Extra 5 cents per plastic bottle.
I went to Detroit once.
Really?
Yeah.
To lose a bet or something?
No. Was doing the
Really?
car show. Their car show's pretty
Ah.
impressive.
Do they lot of car interest in
A lot of
that
cars
area?
there. Yeah,
Really?
they're kind of known for cars.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Is it true
Very
that
nice.
like tumbleweeds and wolves just like roam the streets and?
Well, this was before everyone started leaving Detroit.
Okay.
So this was like
Nice.
15, 16 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
So listen, we got some news
Yeah?
to talk about this week, and I want to apologize up front because one of the things that I wanted to do while CJ was away was not do nothing but Nintendo news.
And
But-
now we have not but Nintendo news.
Pretty significant Nintendo news this week.
What do we got?
Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem coming to Mobile. They're coming to Mobile, Alabama.
There, you will be able to get for your child's crib a
Yes.
mobile of Animal Crossing. Have a little
Yeah.
Mr. Rossetti and KK
So
dangling over your kid's bed.
this past week, and obviously this isn't the biggest news, but I'm just doing this first. This past week, Nintendo announced, of course, they released Miitomo, and that
Right.
was the first in I think a 5-game deal with DNA
Okay.
for mobile experiences. So I knew they'd
Yeah.
come out and said that the next 2 are going to be proper games,
Wow.
and they're going to be based on Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem.
Now, are they going to be like full? Like, is mobile Animal Crossing going to be just like 3DS Animal Crossing, or is it like a
It's
match
gonna be-
puzzle game with villager characters in it?
They didn't, as far as I can tell, they didn't say much about exactly what Animal Crossing will be, except to say that they're both pure game applications.
They also
Okay.
did say that the Animal Crossing game ties directly to a console release.
There you go.
Oh, really?
With
Okay.
Fire Emblem, they've said that it will be a strategy RPG, but it will have an emphasis on accessibility as opposed to the more challenging franchise entries on Nintendo's dedicated systems.
Here's my guess. The mobile Animal Crossing will be the equivalent of the separate island that you could go to in the GameCube version
Your
of
Game Boy.
Animal Crossing. Yes, for those who don't remember,
Yes.
yeah, the original GameCube version of Animal Crossing had connectability features. You could connect your Game Boy Advance to your GameCube and send your villager from your GameCube to a separate island that was only accessible on the GBA. So that is
Using
my
the,
guess.
Using the
using the-
GBA to GameCube cable, right?
Yes.
I think- yeah.
Yes.
I'd
Yes.
forgotten all about that.
Yep. So that's if it's tying into the console release of Animal Crossing. That's my guess, that it will be something akin to that. That there will be a separate, maybe not necessarily an island, but a separate area that you have on your phone that you can send your villager to, and then you can play with your villager in that island or special area while you were out and about, and then when you get home you transfer them back into your main town on your console.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's my guess.
Sounds exciting.
It's a Larrabee lock.
Really?
I don't know.
Well, you got to think of it this way.
I'm just going to say it is.
Obviously, if it's tied to a console release, it's tied to NX. And if it's true that the NX is both a handheld and a television-based console, then you wouldn't have exactly the same experience on that and iOS. It would have to be something that is fundamentally different. So what Phil's saying makes a lot of sense to me, that it would just be more of a companion app.
Unless I was right, the NX is just an Android platform.
I would have a hard time believing that. I mean, anything's possible, but...
I don't believe it either. I just like to say it.
Yeah. Well, and so the Fire Emblem one is, of course, really interesting to me because Fire Emblem is my favorite game series ever. But
yeah, I figured that's one of the reasons I included this, because I figured you would have something to say about it.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, though, is I'm going to be cautiously optimistic here. Nintendo has put obviously a lot of energy into building their mobile games. You can see that with Miitomo, which is very clever, very well produced, very polished, and that was from the producer of Metroid. So they have their real guys on this. But the thing that bummed me out about Miitomo was that they had in-app purchase bundles that went all the way up to $74.99. And they tied that to the pachinko gambling mechanic. And that's a bummer to me, because I think that when they got free-to-play right was when they did Pokemon Rumble, where you had, here's a game, it has all the mechanics of a typical free-to-play game, but once you've spent $30, you have hit the spend cap and everything unlocks and you no longer spend again. So, that to me was fantastic, because philosophically that put me really well in line with the designer of the game, where we both agreed that the game was potentially worth as much as $40, but not more. So, I had the incredible benefit of being able to play Pokemon Brawl for free, see how I liked it, and then ultimately, if it really paid off, move all the way up to the $40 bracket, which I was comfortable doing. But I would never feel comfortable spending $74.99 on Miitomo, no matter how polished it is, right?
Right.
So, getting back to Fire Emblem, I did a bit of a breakdown. So basically, when you look at the 3DS game, the value per dollar is extraordinary in that game. So it's about $30 for every 100 hours of unique gameplay content. So if you break that down and assume that you're going to be playing the game for an hour a day, they should not be charging any more than $9 per month for an hour of unique content every day to be in the same level of value as the 3DS game. And if they do that, and I think that it's possible they will, then I'll play that game for the rest of my life, and I will happily spend $9 a month for the rest of my life, playing that, because that would be a great value, and it would be fun to see the game evolve over the course of a long period. But if they're trying to get thousands of dollars out of me, over a very short window of time, then I have no interest in that.
I don't think they'll be trying to get thousands of dollars out of you, but I also don't think that you'll have the same cost to content ratio that you're talking about on 3DS, because it's mobile. There's a precedent there that wasn't set on the 3DS, hasn't been set on the 3DS, and I would be shocked if they didn't try to take advantage of it.
Yeah, but again, Pokemon Brawl, they could easily have made an unlimited spend game, and they did not. So there is some precedence with their big brands for being careful with that.
Yeah, it's true. It'll probably be a subscription model that you can only have on one phone, no matter how many. Anyway, no account system, whatever I'm trying to say. My point is that the NX, not only is it not coming until March 2017, but I don't think it's going to be. Well, I don't know. Did they really say? They said they're. I don't think it's going to be at E3.
So, no, it's definitely not. The only thing that is at E3 is Zelda.
Right. So Nintendo came out this week, or it was the earnings report, I think, or something like that. I forget what it was, and it wasn't a Nintendo Direct. It was an investors meeting. And the big news and the big bomb was that yes, the NX is not coming out this year, which I think a lot of people have figured out at this point. I was still holding out hope personally because I can't see them missing Christmas, missing having anything big for Christmas this year. Yet here we are. Not only is the NX not launching until March next year, it's not going to be at E3, and Zelda for the NX and the Wii U will be launching simultaneously, which means it's not coming out until at least March next year. So, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean Nintendo will have nothing this Christmas, because Nintendo definitely has, of the big three, they're one of the better ones at announcing something at E3 that's coming out in like 6 months, like it's coming out for the holiday season. But I can't see it being a huge AAA thing at this point, just because we haven't heard anything about it. You know, we're halfway through the year. So that's kind of, I don't know, a little depressing. And I mean, I think it's going to be a really tough year for them now, because as far as I can tell, the 3DS sales are kind of flat.
Yeah, and there's not any major brands. I know that there's a couple of more niche games coming out on 3DS, but correct me if I'm wrong, there's nothing that they've at least announced yet that
Right.
is like a heavy hitter for that platform.
No, not at all. So I mean, I like, is it just going to be a wasteland on the 3DS and Wii U this Christmas season? That's not good.
No.
You know, I
It
mean,
is not.
I know it's Nintendo, but Nintendo doesn't carry the weight it did at one time.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at it from a glass half full perspective, then it means that we're probably going to have a pretty kick-ass NX launch, and we're going to have more than just new Super Mario Brothers Wii U. You know?
Yeah, but
Well, you hope
I'm
anyway.
curious, are we getting to the point where, I mean, they don't have the monetary issues that Sega had, but are we getting to their Saturn moment? Like, I mean, you remember with the Saturn, Bernie Stoller killed that and Sega Japan killed it anyway as well. But Bernie Stoller killed that in the U.S. almost immediately when he took over by saying that the Saturn isn't our future, and then they went for a really long length of time without releasing anything for the Saturn or anything else until the Dreamcast launched in '99, September '99.
Right.
And the Dreamcast was a great launch, but it wasn't enough. And yes, Sega's reputation was not great in the U.S. during the Saturn era anyway, but having that long dark period did nothing to help the problem. And Nintendo is not in the position of strength that they've been in the past.
Well, the other concern I have is that when you look at the NX, we know roughly that it's going to be, or the speculation has been that it's going to be at least as powerful as a PS4 and Xbox One. But if Microsoft and Sony are refreshing their machines, then it's behind again, and then the killer app theoretically will be that you can take it on the go, which for me that is the greatest thing in the world. I'm super excited about that. But then I think the greatest machine ever released is the Vita, and there are not many of us who feel that way.
Right.
So the big question mark is that enough of a killer feature, if that is in fact the big selling point, to compel people? Because I think a lot of people have just decided that mobile is good enough for their on-the-go experience.
That's the thing. I exactly agree with you, and that's the problem. Because I'm the same way. I do not necessarily that that I can take it with me. That's not necessarily a huge selling point for me, because I don't do a lot of traveling. And if I do any traveling, especially with my kids, then I'm not going to be playing video games the whole time. But for the same reason as you, I like having that option because I have children. And if they're watching something and I want to play a game, I can fire up my Vita and play a PS4 game, or I can 3DS or use the Wii U controller. Great.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to be a big enough selling point because of exactly what you said. Mobile is too big right now, and it feels like, on top of everything else, they're starting to hedge their bets, because now we're talking about doing true game content from Nintendo on mobile platforms.
Yes. Well, and the other thing also is the issue of, they're saying Fire Emblem is going to be more accessible. It's not just about accessibility. It's about the the ability to get in and out of the game in a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you look at something like Zelda for Wii U and NX, and I will definitely be excited if I can take that on the go and play. I played through Majora's Mask that way in Ocarina of Time, and I carry my 3DS wherever I go. It is literally in my jacket pocket wherever I go. But I am an anomaly. I am definitely not the average person, and most people, I think, would not want a game that complicated on the go.
Not to mention, I mean, what you have to talk about too is that, I mean, we're old
Yep.
at this point. We're old as far as this audience goes, and they need to start appealing to a younger generation, which, I mean, Nintendo's always been pretty good at that, obviously. But, I mean, like, I look at my kids, and I don't know, I mean, my son, he has an interest in console games, but he's just as happy sitting there playing something on the iPad.
Right.
And if he has a choice, like 8 times out of 10, he's going to sit down and play something on the iPad.
How old is he?
7.
Okay, so it's very different, I will say, with my daughter, and a part of it is that she has her own 3DS, but now that she has played and enjoyed and beaten games like Fantasy Life and a number of the Pokemon titles, the idea of playing games that don't have endings is not compelling to her.
Which is cool, and that's exactly the reason that's how I feel. I mean, that's the reason why I don't play something like Dark Souls as well. That's because it would take me forever, and I want to see the ending of the games that I play. But I would say that, again, like, my son is more indicative of what that generation is.
Yeah, and that's the case for all of her friends, too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they all play those kinds of games, or they all play Minecraft, or even if they don't play Minecraft, they talk about Minecraft. Like, I take him to hockey, and when he comes off the ice, they're not talking about the game they were just in, they're talking about Minecraft.
Right.
And it's just because they're not that type of gamer, for the most part. It's funny because you linked an article, and I'll try to remember to put this in the show notes. You sent us an article before we started the show, and I'm sorry I haven't read it, obviously, because you just sent it before we started the show. But you're talking about Goldman Sachs predicting a golden era for gaming console and software makers, and I find it interesting that that's being published right now when maybe there will be, but I feel like the generation we're talking about, like from 5 to maybe 12 right now, as they grow up, we've always heard the doom and gloom about consoles going away.
Yeah.
I think with that generation, we are actually going to get to the point where it's a very real possibility. That's just me, because it's what they grew up.
I don't think so. I understand what you're saying, but I think that first and foremost, you're looking at a situation where when kids are very young, when kids are your son's age, there is the challenge of not having access to their own screens, right? This becomes less of an issue as kids get older. They have, if not their own television, their own computer screen, that type of thing, and streaming is easy.
Sure.
So I think that you have plenty of teenagers that can definitely tell the difference between playing something like Call of Duty and playing something like Clash of Clans, and they want the richer experience.
And I'm not saying, but that's the thing. I'm not saying that they can't tell the difference. I mean, my son can tell the difference between playing Minecraft or Star Wars or Clash of Clans or whatever. I'm saying he chooses to play that.
Yeah.
And it's not a screen access thing for him anyway. And I mean, obviously, this is all, none of this is scientific.
Sure.
But I'm just saying, like, I see your point, but at the same time, as they get older and they do get access to those screens, is that the reason they're choosing mobile games right now? Is that the predominant reason why they're choosing mobile games right now, is because they don't have access to the television? Or is it because they prefer those kinds of games? And they're going to be growing up with kids who are playing those kinds of games, and that's what they're going to be used to.
Well, as we touched on last week, I think a lot of it comes down to they're going to be less likely to choose design-driven games that you finish in 20 hours. They're going to be much more likely to choose games that are just very deep and are designed to be played for years, like League of Legends, like Minecraft, where the content is more about what other people are creating or the people that you're in guilds with than what the designer is creating for you. That seems to be the big thing, and that ties very much into Twitch and competitive play. And you look at League of Legends, and it is more of a real game. It's a sport, right? It's football. that is fundamentally different than Assassin's Creed, right? You look at Assassin's Creed, and that is more like almost an interactive movie. It's actually less like the real definition of game than League of Legends, right? Because League of Legends, you have the rule set, you can choose your avatar, but really, again, once you start the game, the real content is the players, and there's no real input from the designer, beyond setting the stage and
The mechanics.
setting the rules. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what a lot of players are coming to enjoy and expect. But I think for us, it's much more about we want a crafted experience that takes us from a beginning to a middle to an end, doesn't waste too much time, and lets us get to the next adventure. And I think that's very different.
That's a really good point, actually. I would agree with that. I think that, yeah, you're right, because what you're describing, the crafted adventure, that is what I'm looking for.
Yep.
And I think for the most part, that's probably what all three of us on this show are looking for, and probably most people who are our age are looking for that. But yeah, you're right. The more open-ended sort of, okay, here's your sandbox, go do what you want to do, and oh my God, a million YouTubers doing that, because again, those same kids that talk about Minecraft, half of them don't play it.
Right.
They just watch it.
That's the other thing that's interesting, because think about the impact on major media sites like IGN, where IGN is absolutely reliant on a player who is excited about and interested in the next big thing, and the next big thing being different not just week to week, but literally day to day.
Yeah.
They have to have those uber gamers that blast through Quantum Break and then move rapidly onto Dark Souls 3. Mm-hmm. That is not how these new players play. They find their game, and then what do they care about Dark Souls 3 because they're already really deeply involved in League of Legends or Minecraft. So that's all they care about, and they're going to get that information from YouTube or Twitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to the original story here, I mean, like I said, I think most of us probably figured NX wasn't coming out this year. Kind of shocked that Zelda's not coming out this year. That sucks. But I understand why. I mean, whether it's ready for the Wii U or not, they've got to have something with big impact for the NX launch. So launching it early on the Wii U would just destroy any of that. Kind of crazy too that I think this is yet another sort of blow to E3. When we've already had some really big publishers pull out. So there's a question about the importance of E3 at this point, and it's just sort of one more thing that's not going to be there. Yes, Nintendo will be there, and Zelda will be there, but I think we were all kind of thinking, well, this is going to be that new console E3, and it was going to kind of make up for the fact that I think Activision's not there, or they don't have a booth. EA doesn't have a booth. I believe a couple, Wargaming.net, I think, doesn't have a booth, which had a huge booth the last GDC I went to. There's like 5 or 6 different largest companies that aren't going to be there, aren't going to have a booth.
Does that really matter, though? Because I know that we're used to E3, the idea of the health of the industry being tied to the size of E3, but
I'm talking about the health of E3, not the health of the industry.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying it's calling into question again the relevancy of E3.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the industry. No. I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, the console manufacturers are. I think they're. Well, I don't know that Microsoft's doing as well as it wants to do. Nintendo's having issues, but I think the industry itself seems all right.
Well, and can't we also look at maybe things like the PlayStation Experience as kind of a quasi-step from Sony to, hey, we really can do this on our own if we need to?
That's exactly what it is, and I mean, we, back when we were all doing the game journalism thing, we were seeing this to begin with. It used to be everyone held their cards close to their chest until E3, and then there was a big impact. The problem was that the industry's so huge that if you're, I don't know, not THQ because they were huge at the time, but if you're a smaller, like Red Octane back when they first showed Guitar Hero, they were in Kensha Hall.
Yeah.
And they only got coverage because people stumbled across the game. Right, and I mean that turned huge. But generally, you're not going to, if you're a B-tier publisher, if you're not Microsoft, Sony, well at the time Sega, Nintendo, you're getting the second-tier coverage. So we were starting to see it back then. It wasn't shows that they were doing, but a lot of us were flying out to the West Coast to see their E3 lineup early, so that we could start writing about it early and get it into the issue before E3 came out, or the issue that was on shelves while E3 was happening, so it made the information as current as possible before the internet really blew up. And then it's that morphed into, of course, the PlayStation experience and things like that. And then on top of that, you've got PAX now, and you've got GDC, which has turned into much more consumer-facing show than it ever was. And there's so many of these shows now. E3 is not the juggernaut it once was.
Well, and just given the enormous cost of participating in it as well.
Yes. Not only from the standpoint of creating a booth, but also the development costs too. I mean, and we've all worked on development too. You're working to milestones. You're trying to meet your final goal, and it's like, oh, by the way, you've got this show in May that you have to create a demo for.
Yep.
And you can't, you don't want it to be a work in progress, because then you'll have moments like you had with Assassin's Creed back in the day when the guy fell over in midair and just floated there. Didn't destroy Assassin's Creed or anything, but people talked about it for years.
Well, in the article,
you.
Oh, yeah, totally. In the article I sent you about the golden age of the console era coming up, as opposed to having already been in the rear view mirror, I think what's interesting about that is they were saying that several years back there were 80 viable publishers making console games. Now there's about 10, and so that also brings into question the need for E3, because back a few years ago, it was an important window where if you were one of 80 publishers, you had a shot of at least being in the lineup.
True.
Having some discussion. Now, when you're only talking about 10 publishers anyway, there's dramatically fewer games to even talk about. So, do you really need this kind of massive week-long event to cover a much smaller number of games?
Plus, the other thing is too, E3 was always very game journalist and retailer focused.
Yeah.
Retailer focused is not as big a deal anymore because of the digital delivery system, right? And game journalist focused is not as important anymore because they're skipping, they're taking out that middleman. They're going straight to YouTubers. They're going straight to their own. They have their own PR. They're not really PR people. They're community managers and community people. So they don't need that as much. So it's like I said. I know we sort of have really veered off the original topic, but it just sort of hit me that. All year there's been this discussion about E3's relevancy, and this just feels like another hit.
Yeah.
For them, So yeah, Nintendo news, right? CJ would be proud. CJ would be proud. So let's. So we got started pretty late here, so we're gonna move on right now to what you've been playing. Why don't we talk about Ratchet and Clank some more, since you guys have both been playing it?
Sure. Yeah. Now, you finished it, Ethan?
I did beat it, yeah.
Nice. I'm still slowly working my way through it.
Yeah, and it is right now my second favorite game so far this year. I doubt anything, including Uncharted 4, will top Fire Emblem Fates, but I really loved the Ratchet & Clank game. It's great from beginning to end. It is, for me, about the perfect length. I think it took me about 20 hours to get through total.
Right.
And that was stopping to sniff the roses. I took a couple of side quests and stuff like that. But the scaling of the stages is just great. It does get surprisingly difficult at the very, very end. That final boss took me about 20 times to try. So either I just suck, or had the wrong weapons, or it really kind of goes off the rails in terms of scaling. But it did ultimately feel good to beat it. Kind of funny that in the movie the end boss goes down with one swipe, and here in the game it's much tougher. But
thanks for the spoilers. Yeah, great.
That is a hell of a spoiler. The bad guy doesn't win. Yeah.
Well, just saying.
Well, what if they were trying? I don't know. Anyway.
That's fine. Whatever. Yeah.
But it was really great, and it's definitely, if you have a PS4, a game that should not be missed.
No,
it's cheap-ish.
It's $40.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very cheap.
Down there, it's $40.
Yeah.
Right.
Where it counts, it's $40.
Ouch.
So you were on Jetpacks last week. How far have you gotten since then?
He's in the same spot.
Not significantly farther.
Okay.
Wait, you know what? You know what my problem was? I started doing side quests. Is what happened. I went around there. There's that quest where you had to collect all the brains. Did you do that one?
Yep.
Yes, so you gotta
Well,
like fly.
I beat the game, Phil. Of course, I did that one.
I don't, it's a side quest. I don't know if you did all the side quests.
No, it's Critical Path. Collecting all of them is a side quest. Go ahead.
Right, I collected all of them. I went back and fought all the giant brain monsters to collect all 60 brains. So I did all that, and then I went and did all the races. I competed in the races and got all those the medals for those and that
The
sort of thing.
races are fun. The races
Yeah,
are really
they
fun.
are. Yeah, they're actually pretty cool.
And that's the other thing about the game is it's not just the action shooting platforming, which is really tight.
Yeah.
But it's also, you have the grind the rails sequences,
Right.
which is really, really fun. And then the
Yep.
races and the flight. And the flight stuff, when you compare it to something like Star Fox, it's pretty good flight mechanics.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So I'm just on the ice planet right now.
Okay.
I'm doing the ice planet.
Well,
So-
can we talk just briefly about the movie?
Sure? I haven't seen it yet. I may go
Okay.
see it tonight.
So,
And I figure I better see it quickly because it's
Not going to
As
be
I
in
ex-
theaters much longer.
as I expected. It's tanking, and yeah, if I don't see it this weekend, it may not be around next weekend. So, and I do want to see it in theaters.
I took my kids to it, and it was really interesting to get their response. My daughter was pretty indifferent to it, and bear in mind, neither of them have played the games. Okay,
Okay.
So set that as a
Okay.
bar. My son said that it was his favorite movie of all time,
Wow.
replacing Indiana Jones 4. So
Oh, wow. How does that happen? That
so
sounds like child abuse.
Although, real quick, Ethan, what's your favorite indie movie?
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, for God's
There we go. There we
Yeah.
go.
Never
But
mind. Now I
back on
understand.
track. Yeah. So the thing is for me, as somebody who's played the games for 12 years, it was, of course, a lot of fun to see these characters that I love so much on screen. But the script was pretty flat. I didn't laugh, and I didn't feel any kind of emotional resonance between the characters. You'd never expect something like a Zootopia from this, right?
Well, no.
The thing is when you look at Zootopia, the relationship between the characters really is powerful, and so not only are they dealing with things that are interesting thematically, you really feel something when one character betrays another, say. You don't feel that here. The characters don't earn that, and maybe I chuckled once, but out of a script that is pretty kind of boilerplate for a hero that has to prove himself saving the day. The animation itself is serviceable, but definitely looks cut right compared to what we're used to. And I think this is one of the big challenges is actually like the top-end animation that we get is pretty phenomenal. Not just Pixar, but now Disney and even the DreamWorks stuff is often really extraordinarily well built. And so anything by comparison kind of looks cheap, even if it's decently produced, at least by something like television standards. But I'd say that it is on par with something like Planes.
Okay.
The best way to put it, right? And Planes, if you remember, was originally going to be a DVD release, and then they brought it to theaters. It kind of feels like that, with the same kind of ho-hum story, but you might like it a bit more if you have an affinity for the characters.
Right.
Which I do.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting. I mentioned this to you before the show that I'm going into it expecting a 90-minute video game cutscene, which is
Right.
what I'm fine seeing a 90-minute video game cutscene.
Well, and the thing is you're actually better off not having beaten the game yet, because since I have, and since the game itself has so many of the cutscenes that are just pulled directly from the movie,
No.
I had seen half the movie before I walked into the theater.
I was curious about that because I remember hearing right when that game came out that people who were streaming it, obviously Sony was blocking, like your system, the PS4 actually doesn't stream those scenes
Right.
like playing it because they are directly from the movie.
Yep.
Interesting.
But the story works much better as a game, as you would expect.
Right. Yeah.
And it's nice to be rewarded with little cutscenes in a game like Ratchet and Clank, but I don't think it sustains itself very well as a film without a controller in your hand.
Right. Well, I'll bring my DualShock with me. to the theater.
It's a
It's a
great
good
idea.
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plan.
If I did and just sat there the whole time making noises, do you think I'd get any looks?
Will there be anybody in the theater?
Assuming there's anyone else in the theater. I guess that's the real trick, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there was a
Uh,
guy 3 rows ahead of us that was texting the whole time, and I absolutely hate that because it's that like bright light that is in your. And usually I will throw milk at them when people do that because they can't ever tell it's me, but it gives them the hint. But this time I just let it go because it's like give the guy a break, you know.
Because there was nobody else in the theater.
Yeah,
And
Well-
he would know it was you.
no one wants to see their dad get beat up at the movie theater. Find the teacher.
Ollie, how could you do that? I'm sorry, sir.
Don't you just hate people who are disrespectful in a movie theater?
He's young.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else you been playing there, Ethan?
So wanted to talk a little bit about Hitman, episode 1. Have you guys tried that one yet?
No.
Okay, so that is $15, and then follow-up episodes are $10 each. And I played through all of the content. You get 2 prelude missions that basically teach you how to play the game, but also are really just kind of simple missions that are set as kind of warehouse missions where you're getting your training as opposed to being in the field. And then they have a very elaborate stage that is in Paris. Where there's a big fashion show going on. And they did something that has upset some longtime fans of Hitman, but I really liked. I felt kind of streamlined it, and it's entirely optional. But you will have moments where it will say, hey, pay attention here, and if you want, we'll track for you the places you should go to try to set off something spectacular, right? So you can still mess it up, and there's still plenty of room for improvisation, but you are now much more guided, and so it makes it so that you don't get this frustrating where they're trying to assassinate, but I just have no way to get there, and I keep failing, and there's no way to just critical path is. Here they actually tell you, which streamlines it in a really elegant way. But I also realized playing the game that here this game, which is it's almost like an open world game on a more intimate scale, where it's like one location, but there's so many different things you can do and places you can go and floors you can explore that it just feels very loose and improvisational and an open world. And definitely enough content for me for the $15. And I like the idea of AAA episodic gameplay because I have so many games on my shelf right now that I've put 3 hours or less into that I hope to get back to sometime. But I mean, Far Cry Primal, The Division, Xenoblade Chronicles, I mean, the list just goes on. And here, like, I got the 3 hours of gameplay for $15. I felt good about it. It's a great value for the dollar, and then when I am ready, I can go on to the next one if I choose to. But if I want to just go on to something else, I haven't spent the full $60 outlay. And I think that that's super cool.
Is that what it's going to hit? Is there a cap on it? Will it be $60?
Well, my understanding is that that's what they're building to. But hey, if they end up giving me $60 worth of stages for $60, and then it's popular and they decide to continue it, I'm fine with that too. I would be fine spending $10 a month to get a new chapter of Uncharted every month or a new chapter of Assassin's Creed, and why not Hitman? And actually, here's the big thing for me. I haven't played a proper Hitman game since Hitman 2 on the original Xbox, so it's been a long time. I would have skipped this one too if it weren't for the fact that I just saw that, oh, cool, AAA experience, $15, I'll do that.
I do like the idea of sort of an a la carte setup for AAA games. I remember was one of the boxing games that EA released that had a story mode, and after a certain time they actually released the story mode as a separate experience, I think for $20. Which was really nice. If you didn't want the multiplayer, you didn't need it. You could just do the story mode. So I do like that idea. I mean, we've seen there are various pitfalls doing episodic games, which we've talked about at great lengths on this show, especially when it comes to like Telltale and their terrible release schedules, and the same thing's happening with King's Quest right now. I mean, how long is it going to be until episode 3?
Sure.
Right? Those of us who paid for a season pass.
3 just came out.
Oh, did it really? There you go.
3
So
just came out, but
what?
there's
7
2
months.
episodes.
The first one.
Yeah.
So that's
But
too much.
King's Quest is a great example, though, of a game where I played and really enjoyed the first
Me too.
Episode. I will someday pick up and play the second episode, but I don't feel pressured to, and so thus far I've paid for what I've actually.
How could you feel pressured to? Because you had to wait 4 months for the second episode.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
See, and that's. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and it makes sense, but I still want a scheduled release,
Yeah.
and and then give me the choice if I want to pay for, if I want to pay up front for everything, great. Give me a date, give me an end date. If you pay $50, you get everything, and it runs from November to November.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And but if you buy it a la carte, it's going to cost you $70 for everything. Okay, cool, totally fine. But don't ask me for $40 up front and no idea how long it's going to take to come out, no matter how good it is. I loved the first episode of King's Quest. I haven't touched the second episode. I bought the season pass. Haven't touched the second episode. Didn't even know the third episode came out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Schedules are important. I think one of the reasons your show has longevity is that you've been very consistent with releases. Could you imagine if Silicon Valley, was a setup where an episode would come out maybe Sunday, maybe another 3-4 weeks from now, whenever they get it finished?
Right.
Yeah. That would be very hard to follow and frustrating.
Yeah, I am all for not appointment gaming, because I'm like you. I want to play it when I want to play it and when I can play it. But I love the idea of episodic content. I have loved it since the first Telltale games started coming out like that.
Yep.
Or even like the last Wing Commander game had episodic content they created as DLC, and it was great. But back then it was the same thing. It's like, there are 5 missions coming out, and it's going to be one every 2 weeks. Fantastic.
Yep.
Perfect. But now it's like, you take so long and you lose interest and other things come up. And also, loved the first episode of King's Quest. I could not tell you what happened.
Right.
I could give you a broad strokes, overview, but I couldn't tell you the names of the characters outside of the main ones.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know someone lost a wheel and someone sounded a lot like they were from The Princess Bride.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and
Like,
there was a dragon. I remember that too.
It's
But,
a
yeah.
huge
Yes.
problem if you're going to do episodic gaming and it's going to be character driven, and then you're saying, "Oh, and we'll see you again in 3.5 months or 4 months." No, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, So again, this was interesting though because the Telltale stuff is cool, but we don't that often see AAA trying to do episodic. The Resident Evil stuff, the Revelations 2, was an interesting approach. This is better. This is higher quality stuff.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it is a good idea, and I would love to see something like that take off.
So moving on, the other games that I'm
Ethan
playing.
just taking over the hosting. That's cool. No,
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Star Fox Zero. I wanted to touch on that
Yes,
again.
I wanted to
because-
know how the second week went.
Right. So I ended up putting some more time into it. And what's interesting is there was this moment where it was like learning how to ride a bike or learning how to type, where suddenly I wasn't thinking anymore about what I had to be doing to move the ships around, and I just got it. And my reflexes took over. And suddenly the idea of what I'm supposed to do with the second screen and why it's valuable made a ton of sense. And I was able to get past stages on my first pass instead of my 10th because I wasn't fighting with the controls and I was having a lot more fun. It doesn't make the game a masterpiece by any stretch. It makes it definitely easier to digest, and it becomes the big question of accessibility. Again, are you willing to, for a 7 out of 10 game, sit and struggle for 3 hours before you really start to understand how it's meant to be played, and then it becomes fun? Most people, probably not. But it does become a lot more fun. And it is actually kind of exhilarating when you have that feeling of like really precise pinpoint control through the accelerometer to take out enemies, and you see guys flanking you, and you know exactly how to avoid them, flip around, and then shoot them in the back. And so it actually does give you a much greater flexibility of control than Star Fox 64. It would be hard for me to go back to something like Star Fox 64 now that I understand how to play Star Fox
Really?
Zero. Yeah, just because you really can do a lot more with the controls a lot more quickly. But that's definitely not how I felt week 1. And again, I still think that this is kind of in the 7 range, but now I'm confident that I'm going to finish it, and I feel better about the purchase.
So anecdotally, I actually got the game as well.
Did
because
you?
I pre-ordered it. Yeah. So it showed up in the mail, and my son saw the box, was quite excited to play it, and so we did. I actually didn't play much of it because he was so excited to let him play first.
Yeah.
Pure frustration.
Yep.
I will be shocked if he hasn't asked to play it since. We played it the first night. Nope. Back to Star Wars. Back to iPad. He hasn't asked to play it since.
Dang.
That's rough, and that's what they set themselves up for. And you can absolutely see when you're playing it that it had to be this case where the designers and probably the producers at Nintendo just got used to how it was meant to be played. They learned how to ride the bike, and once you learn how to ride the bike, it's so hard to go back and be able to proof the game and figure out what's working and what's not. This would be an optimal situation for having a beta test. I mean, it wouldn't make sense because it's not a multiplayer game, but like to get the feedback early and before launch of how players are actually playing, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Or at least focus tests. I would love to know how much time they took in terms of putting it into new players' hands to see how they responded to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, a game with those characters, younger players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And would be probably no surprise to you guys that I did not turn on Star Fox Guard again. Maybe I will sometime, but yeah. Now, Phil, I think, will be happy to hear that I have started playing my first Shantae game.
You know, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Like, can you hear it?
Like really happy.
Yep.
Really, this is exciting to me. I don't know if you saw. I was applauding just off camera.
Good. That's exactly what it sounded like.
Applauding right there.
No, and actually, if I can give a quick shout out, a good friend of mine, a guy named Dimitri, who I worked with at Sega, gave me a free code for this one, and he is I mention him because he is a Player One podcast listener.
Nice.
Well, yep. But this game is it was the Pirate's Curse, and it really holds up well.
What are you playing it on?
I am playing on the Wii U.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's nice off screen, and when it's rezzed up, the sprites look quite chunky, but it's a charming aesthetic, and
You're missing out by not playing it on the 3DS.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Yeah, isn't it enhanced somehow?
Well, no, it has the character portraits, the big close-up character portraits. Have 3D boobs.
Oh God.
They
Those
actually
are the best
do.
kind.
They actually
Wow.
do. Yeah. The chests are in 3D.
Wow.
So, there you go.
Well,
but go on.
Yeah, no, and it just feels like playing, and of course, Way Forward, those guys really know how to make these types of games probably better than anyone else, but it feels like playing an SNES first-party Nintendo game that I just never had gotten around to, that I'm trying for the first time. You know, it has that kind of polish and quality, and it really feels like it sits comfortably next to things like Super Metroid and whatnot, which also in the past couple of weeks I've been playing quite a lot of. So yeah, it's fun to kind of go back in time, but have something that is only built a couple years ago, and see that kind of gameplay experience still holds up.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. And they have the new one coming out sometime.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
isn't that
exactly.
really close to being released now?
I don't know. It's the one that got kickstarted.
Yeah.
That
I don't remember seeing an update recently though.
yeah. Yeah, it was kickstarted right around the same time, actually, like pretty much exactly the same time as Mighty Number 9. Yeah, Half Genie Hero. But yeah, I don't know when it's going to be out. So
Well, the last one I was playing was also a 2D side scrollers. Have you guys ever played on PS4 Dust and Legion Tale?
No. I've heard a
No.
lot about it.
I got it on the iOS, and it looks just as beautiful there as it does on PS4. But for the past year, you've had to use touchscreen, which is not optimal. But I have a Game Vice, which is one of these.
Good lord.
Yeah, and putting one of those onto your iPhone now, since it has the MFI support, the control is just like it is on PS4, and it's an awesome on-the-go experience.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
do you carry that around with you in your pocket?
Not in my pocket. No, it's in my bag. Yeah.
It's in other places.
Yes.
In your man purse?
Yeah, my man sack. Yeah.
It's in, it,
In
it's
your satchel?
an
It's
Italian,
right.
it's fine leather Italian tote bag.
It's right under my man sack. At all times.
Yeah, we heard that. Yeah, I know. We heard it the first time, Ethan.
Stop
can-
talking about your balls.
Yeah, you want to come back on this show, right?
Yeah. Clean it up, Einhorn. Clean it up.
Yeesh.
All right. So
How
that
much
was
is
it.
Yeesh.
How much is one of those is it Game Vice it's called?
Yeah.
How much does that
It's
run?
100.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, screw that.
Oh,
How much
okay.
is it?
It's $100.
What?
But here's the thing. All right.
Nope.
Hold on.
There is no thing.
There's no thing.
The improvement to games like Final Fantasy IX and Grand Theft Auto.
But I have
and-
Final Fantasy IX.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
I have controllers that don't cost $100.
All right. But I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about an ecosystem where people regularly spend $99 on virtual currency, right? And
People are nuts.
this, you add this to a game like Dust, and it curb stomps anything in the top 100 grossing.
But okay.
I could just
It's
play it on my
cool device.
PS4
Yeah.
and not have to spend another
I
$100.
feel like I
Yeah.
want to congratulate. I feel like you're channeling CJ.
Yeah.
This is something CJ would argue about until he's blue in the face, and then
Well-
say you're right, and then go out and buy one anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely overpriced, but I just like being in a position where I have something that is top of the line and lets me play the iPhone games, with full controls.
Oh yeah. No, I'd love to have something like that, but not for $100, because
Yeah.
that would be 150 here. But even so, like $50 would be closer to what I would pay.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
cool. I mean, if it works great, it works great. Whatever.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about Pokemon Brawl, do we?
Nah.
Okay, good. Phil,
Yeah.
what else have you been playing besides the Ratchet and Stank?
Ratchet and Stank. Hey, you know what just came out on PS4? iOS fans. Jetpack Joyride. Jetpack Joyride.
We actually lost viewers when you said that.
I like Jetpack Joyride. I actually really like Jetpack Joyride. As far as iOS games go, that's a fun one. And they just
Come
brought
with
it
a
out on
$100
PS.
controller.
No, but for best experience, I would recommend dropping down a C note on that.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good-looking game. It's a fun, endless runner.
It's a fun game, and my kid likes it, so I picked it up. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
for some reason I don't know why because it still has the free to play mechanic in it, but they're still charging like $3 for it.
Isn't it great? Like now that we have kids, like before it was, well, I have to get this for work. It's for research, and now
Yeah.
it's like, well, the kids really like it,
Yeah,
so
yeah. So Finn's been playing a lot of Jetpack Joyride.
I can't quite pull that off. I want to get Puckin Tournament and use that excuse, but not happening.
Really? Oh, Finn really likes that one too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So yeah, we've been playing that, and then you know what I picked up this week?
What's that?
The good folks at the Humble Bundle this week. they have a new Humble bundle going on right now that I'm assuming most of our listeners are aware of, but it's the Humble Friends of Nintendo bundle.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
You get
and
Darksiders too?
I did not.
What was it?
So did you know about this, Greg?
No.
The Humble Friends of Nintendo bundle is going on right now, where you can get 3DS and Wii U games. Pay $1. Actually, it's a really friggin' good deal. If you pay $1 or more, $1 will get you Retro City Rampage for 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
It will get you Affordable Space Adventures for Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
And it will get you Shantae and the Pirate's Curse for,
Very nice.
for both Wii U and 3DS.
Okay.
And if you pay more than the average, which at this moment is $9.76, but when I bought it, it was like $4.30. So I got a bunch of games for cheap. You get Citizens of Earth, which is
Cool. I've always been interested in that game.
Yeah, it's like it's an RPG, right?
Yep.
You can choose either the Wii U or the 3DS version of that. You get a Retro City Rampage theme for your 3DS. You get Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure.
Cool. That's a good game.
It is a good game, the 3DS game from Sega. And, Greg, the Wii U version of Freedom Planet.
Nice.
Which you were talking about last week.
That's right. So I
Yes.
did know about this because you bought it this went on sale like almost immediately after we talked about it.
Yeah. So
on.
it was perfect timing. And then if you pay, if you pay $13 or more, you also get Super Street Fighter 4 3D for the 3DS. Which I actually bought that a while ago. They had it on sale on the eShop for like $5, so I already have that game. And then you get what?
No,
What?
it just kills me because I just like a month ago spent $20 to get that game. When Street Fighter V came out, I bought the 3DS4, which holds up really well, by the way. But hearing these deals, it bums me out. $5 for it, man.
Yeah, and you could have paid $13 and got it and all these other games.
Yep.
And Darksiders 2 is the other game you get for the $13 or more.
Nice.
And I have no interest in Darksiders 2, so I didn't worry about that. But and then apparently, I guess on Tuesday they're adding more games to it. So
wow.
I'll be
check
getting
that
a
out.
couple. Yeah, and actually it's pretty nice because not counting the Street Fighter, I have the retail version of Rhythm Thief, but
Me too.
now I can sell that, and because I have the digital version. But I didn't have any of these games. The one exception was I did have the 3DS version of Shantae, so I gave the extra code to my wife. So, because I'm a nice guy. And then I'm very curious to see what other games they add. But a bunch of some pretty cool games in there.
But now, and of course Shantae, which runs on all 3DSs. That runs just fine, but no, you can't play SNES games on anything but a new 3DS.
Well, yeah. What are you gonna do?
I didn't even realize that was the case. I probably knew it, but I never thought about it.
Yeah. But so I played some Freedom Planet.
What'd you think?
It's Sonic.
Yeah.
Boy, it's Sonic.
Yeah, it is very Sonic.
Which Freedom Planet was never good. That's the hard truth you have to admit about Freedom Planet. It was never good. And who are you to object to that, Greg Stewart?
So I played some more LEGO Dimensions last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you about Freedom Planet real quick.
Okay.
Let me say this about it. I actually do like Freedom Planet. It seemed pretty cool. I played through one stage. Are the stages all really long?
Yes.
Because it took me like 10 minutes to get through one of those stages.
They're a little bit large.
Yeah, because I just kind of popped it in because we were getting ready to feed Finn some dinner and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, let me just finish this level real quick, and I'm going to save, and we can turn off the TV and stuff. And I'm going through, and it's just like, when is this? Sonic stages normally take like 3 minutes. Why is this? And then it's like, okay, I reached the end, and wait, it's still going. Why isn't it saying the stage is over? And yeah, finally, like 10, 12 minutes it took me to reach the end.
You just got to get good.
I guess so, or just I gotta go fast.
Go fast. Get good. Go fast.
And boy, it's got a lot of cinematics.
GGGF.
So there's like two modes. There seems to be one mode. Like when I first started the game, they gave me two options of.
Yeah, you can play as the other character. I have not tried her yet. I don't know.
But it sounded like there was one mode where it had all the cinematics, and then the other mode maybe just didn't, where it was just
maybe
like
I don't know.
Here's stages, because I don't really care about the plot of this. I mean, because it's a cute game and everything, but just kind of feels very deviant art, Sonic fan fiction, original characters do not steal. I don't really care about the narrative that you've constructed. I just want to play the game. So
you're a cranky old man.
You know what? I just want to run and jump and collect rings or whatever it is you collect in this game.
Well, it sounds like this game was made for cranky old men, too.
I don't want to hear about whatever little romance shipping rebel fighter nonsense that they came up with for these little critters. You know? There's not even any blood in the game.
Okay, so I am going to move on now. So I played some more LEGO Dimensions. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I will say what I loved is I got to the Ghostbusters stage.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the Back to the Future stage kind of set the precedent once you get into the actual world where you started hearing the Huey Lewis and the News song.
Real quick, are you talking about the story mode?
Story mode.
Story mode, Back to the Future, and Ghostbusters stages. Okay, not the not the bonus pack stuff.
No, yeah, exactly. So, actually, wait a minute. No, I take it back. With Back to the Future, I am talking about the bonus stage packs, or whatever they're called, mission packs. And when you finish that one, because the whole time I was playing, it's like, this music, this is okay. I really wish they were playing. At some point, we play Power of Love.
Yeah.
Which, when you finished that bonus mission, and you went into the actual world, the Back to the Future world that you get with that, that's what plays in the background. So that was kind of a happy surprise.
Cool.
So anyway, I got to the story mode mission of Ghostbusters, which I'm assuming you've seen, Phil. I don't know if you've played through that game yet or not.
The Ghostbusters mission?
Yeah.
Geez, have I played through the Ghostbusters? I don't know if I have or not.
Anyway, the entire soundtrack is straight out of the movie.
Oh,
it's
nice.
Fantastic.
That's
it's
cool.
So great. It's just
the doom doom doom.
That's part of it, but then they also play Ghostbusters. Yeah. They also play Ghostbusters. They also play Cleaning Up the Town.
Oh, nice.
And I forget the name of the other song, but it's the one that plays in the movie when everything goes nuts and the ghosts are all
when the trap when they shut off the containment unit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they've always been good at that. I think about Lego Batman 2, where they use the Danny Elfman music.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then when Superman comes in, it's the John Williams music.
Yes.
Yeah. Indeed.
Actually, that's a good point.
Or when Wonder Woman, when you start flying around as Wonder Woman, have you done that?
No. Do you get
seriously?
Yeah. Do you get the Linda Carter music or what?
Really?
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty wild. So
Actually,
anyway,
that may just be in Lego Batman 3, but go on.
I was just really happy that it was in there.
Yeah,
because
that's awesome.
I kind of expected to hear the Ray Parker Jr. song, if nothing else. But you hear that song at first, like, okay, that's cool. And I'm not crazy about that. I mean, it's catchy, but I've never been really crazy about that song. But then it's like, then it goes into the soundtrack, the one you were humming there, and it's like, oh, this is pretty awesome. And then when the other lyrical, music pipes in, it's like, oh,
Ghostbusters has an outstanding soundtrack.
It does, and I have it on cassette. I need to get that some other way.
Does the soundtrack have like the actual score and that sort of thing, or
is
it okay?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, the soundtrack was fantastic. I mean,
that's such a.
There was something about soundtracks back then too, because like Spaceballs had a great soundtrack as well, and it had a bunch of. It's really weird, but yeah.
You know what the word I use to describe the Ghostbusters score is? Schlumpy.
Ah,
a schlumpy score, and
but I
it is
think that's
perfect.
not. That sounds unflattering, but I think that that's exactly right.
But it's not
You know?
meant to be.
But that's it's supposed to be that. I mean, that's the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
Is kind of schlumpy dudes doing a janitorial job.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, on cartridge, I also have the Howard the Duck soundtrack.
On
cassette
cartridge?
tape,
On
rather.
cartridge.
Yeah.
Cassette tape, yes.
Nice.
Of course you do. Of course you
Yes.
do.
I think it's in the same box as my Beverly
Starting to
Hills Cop
understand-
2 novelization.
Nice. I'm starting to understand why your kid loves Indiana Jones 4. More importantly, though, the other game that I spent a lot of the week playing was the Sega 3D Classics Collection on 3DS.
Yay. That stuff's
Which-
awesome.
It
Is that out?
Yes, it is a fantastic. You should get it, Phil. You'll love it. You will love it. 10 games. One of them is hidden, but 10 games total.
Oh crud! It is out.
And it's just like, I mean, it's these great M2 conversions of old Sega Arcade and Genesis games. So you got Sonic the Hedgehog, obviously. You've got Altered Beast, although it's the Genesis version.
Yeah.
Was a little bit surprising, although apparently there's a really good reason for that, and that is because the arcade version did not have parallax scrolling.
Oh.
So
Okay.
there's that. And then of course with those you're getting all the great, the M2 options, like do you want this to run the international version or the Japanese version? Do you want the sound to be emulated as though it's from a Model 1 Genesis or a Model 2 Genesis? Little things like that. And then you've got Power Drift, great arcade game from Yu Suzuki, 1988, which has never been released here.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there was maybe a PC Engine port.
There was. Yep.
But other than that, has that ever been brought
It's
to a
got to a
home
bunch
console?
of microcomputers, but not other
Oh, really?
consoles, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Great little game. Feels very much like a precursor to what became the kart racing genre.
Hmm.
And it's moving around sprites like you would see in the old Superscaler games, but it's creating a 3D world with them. The tracks consistently cross over themselves and things like that. Like, it's just a very cool little game.
The arcade at the mall where I grew up, the mall that I actually grew up in. My parents abandoned me in a Sears when I was 4. Yeah, they had the big, like, sit-down version of Power Drift with the giant car that would shift and rock with the on-screen action. It was the absolute best.
One of the cool options that M2 put in here is actually they have like an ambient sound option, so you can hear like where if you were in the arcade and you would like pull on the gear shift and you'd hear the picture hitting the collar and everything like that, just little things like that. Galaxy Force 2, which is an incredible game, which I had never played before.
Really?
No, I'd never played Galaxy Force 2.
Oh man, there was also an arcade by where I grew up that had the sit-down version of that, which
that was supposed to be really impressive.
Which would swivel around, like it would do a 360 rotation. Yeah.
And they both look so much better with the 3D mode on. It just makes them look incredible. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's a couple interesting ones too. There's like a maze, I forget what it's called, Maze Runner or Maze something. I'm going to open this up and check real quick.
I love that it's
Maze Walker.
I love that it's not just a collection of the stuff that they've released digitally.
No.
You need to have Sonic in there, that makes sense, but it's sounding really compelling to me, and I've picked up a lot of the one-off ones, but there's still enough content in there for me to...
Nice thing, too, if you're a Fantasy Zone fan, so it's got the original Master System Fantasy Zone hidden on it. It's got Fantasy Zone 2 from the Master System on it. It's also got a game called Fantasy Zone 2 W, which is so cool. So what it is I think it was in 2008. It was for the Sega Ages 2500 series or whatever it was called on the PS2 in Japan. A team from M2 took Fantasy Zone 2 from the Master System and reimagined it as an arcade game and built it on System 16 hardware, actual System 16 hardware. So they created an arcade game based on the Master System Fantasy Zone 2 using real hardware.
Wow. Would you not love to sit and have dinner with the M2 guys?
Oh my
and
god.
Just have a conversation about the games that they grew up with?
Yeah. Oh, it would be amazing. this collection is great though. And then the Maze Walker
Yes.
one I wanted to talk about real quick because
Was
my understanding is that this is the first time that this game has been playable without using the Master System 3D glasses. So this was a Master System game that
Ooh.
oh, that's cool.
required the 3D glasses, which, so almost impossible to play nowadays because you'd need a Master System, the game, the 3D glasses, and a television that would work with them, so a CRT television. So,
Right.
For this little game, it would be tough to justify that, but now you can actually play it without that, which I think is the first time it's available like that. So it's
That's
a very, very cool set. For like $30, you can't go wrong.
Now, see,
It's
this is
such
what's
great value.
this is what's killing me, though. I'm looking at the
You
list of
won't love
games. Well, here's the thing. Okay, included in this package, Sonic the Hedgehog 3D. I already have it digitally. Altered Beast, already have that one digitally. Galaxy Force 2, already have it. Thunderblade, already have it. Fantasy Zone 2W, already have it digitally. Power
Yeah.
Drift has not been released digitally. Puyo Puyo 2, not released digitally. Maze Walker and Fantasy Zone 2 don't have either of those.
And
So,
Fantasy Zone. The first Fantasy Zone is in there as well.
oh, is it? Okay. Well, the first Fantasy Zone, I also have digitally.
Nice.
Although I believe
See,
that's the arcade version, though. You said this was the Master System
This is
one.
the Master System version.
Okay. So,
See, that's where I'm luckier because the only overlap I have is Sonic, and because I've been
Yeah,
getting
me
the
too.
Streets of Rages and Shinobi and stuff
Yep.
like that.
So yeah, Phil, it would be tough for you to justify that.
yeah.
So
and
Stuart, something interesting to think about too is we now kind of take for granted 3D games. We're just used to it. The 3D, handheld experience is something that we look at, every week. But when the NX comes out, there will be no more 3D handheld. There will be no more 3D kind of mass market devices for gaming. And so I think that as we look back, say 20 years from now, at the 3DS, that novelty is still going to be pretty powerful when we turn on the machine.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm bummed because I love 3D gaming. I mean, I loved it when it was on when you were getting PS3 games that were in 3D all the time. I'm sad that we don't get that anymore with the new consoles.
yeah.
But, I mean, I understand why, but I really enjoyed 3D games.
Ugh. And see, this is what's killing me about the Sega 3D Classics thing, is I could get the retail version through Amazon with the Prime discount, so I'd only be paying $24 for it. But this is really something that you kind of want to have digitally,
Yep.
and there is no discount for that sort of thing, unfortunately, if I buy it from the eShop.
And what's the eShop price? Is it $29 or $39?
I'm assuming it's $29. I'm loading it up right now, but
What's a $5 difference, Phil, for the convenience of digital?
yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure I'll end up with it.
Yeah.
Because Power Drift, the allure of Power Drift is very strong.
Yeah, that's great. When you've grown up with a game and you can get kind of a perfect version of it, or actually enhanced,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I highly recommend it. Yes, I can see though, Phil, that it would be tough for you to justify that cost. Let's move on to some tweets because we've been going now for about an hour and 20, I think, and we should wrap this up soon. Yeah. We got the wordsmithery going on this week. So we'll just I'll just send you a few here.
Okay.
As soon as I find some, actually, we'll do two. So Hacker Alias Last Place 09 asks, do you think you should buy a game just to support a system? I got Severed to support Vita, but didn't end up liking it.
No.
No. Why would you do that? That's ridiculous.
Question though, have you ever bought a game? And I'm not saying that I'm not saying if it's something you don't like, but like if you're unsure of the game, if it's from a certain publisher, have you ever done that just to support the publisher?
Star Fox Zero.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
seriously, that's when we're even bad reviews. It's like, okay, but it's Nintendo first party, and I'll be glad that I can say I played it.
Okay.
And that's the thing. If you're a personal completionist on Vita and you want to say that you've played Severed because it was one of the last major releases, then good on you. That's a good enough reason. But it shouldn't be because you're trying to support Sony.
Fair enough.
So Sony could use your support. Sony, those small indie companies like that really rely on that word of mouth. So,
Well, that's Drinkbox, isn't it?
Is it?
I think it's the Guacamelee guys that did.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
Did they?
Game Severed? Yeah, I've actually been meaning to pick that up just because it's
Yeah.
Drinkbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to get
Yeah.
that.
Well, there you go. I do. Do I love Guacamelee? I love Guacamelee. I've actually played through Guacamelee several times.
Wow.
So, yeah, on multiple systems.
And we're going to end with this one. Hacker Alias and friend of the show, Rich Grisham,
I know that guy.
asks, how long will you play a game nowadays until you start to enjoy it before you bail on it? I'm 2 hours into Dishonored and not loving it.
That's a really interesting one because I bought Dishonored Definitive Edition, and it was the first time I had played it, and a combination of bad performance on the Xbox One and just long load times and archaic controls left me bummed out because so many people had said it was one of the games of the year when it came out. I was excited to play it, but I felt exactly the way he did in terms of just really feeling like I was kind of pushing myself to do it, and I abandoned. Yeah. So, but again, by contrast, something like Star Fox, I'm glad I didn't abandon it because if I had after one session, I would have missed out. So I myself give a game a good 2-3 hours before it gets the heave-ho. I know Garnet Lee used to say if he walks away from a game once, he'll try one more time. If it's a second time that he walks away from it, it's done. Which
I would
makes
agree with
sense.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much the same as me. I mean, I definitely give a game time to ramp up, but that's why it was so infuriating with what was it, Final Fantasy 12 that everyone was talking about? No, 13.
That's exactly the game that Garnet was referencing. He was talking about Lightning Returns.
Well, I mean,
actually.
and you got these people online saying, well, if you haven't played it for 13 hours, then it hasn't really gotten good yet. It's like, are you out of your skull?
Now, if I remember
13
correctly,
hours.
I believe Ethan used that same argument on me with Shenmue 2.
I probably did.
Dun.
Yeah.
Back in the day, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we're older and wiser now.
Yeah.
You're really old and wiser.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm old.
You guys are both older than I am, I think. CJ's the baby.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Is there anything we want to plug before we go here?
I'll plug real quick. So again, my blog is videogamememories.wordpress.com. Come check it out. I update it every week.
I can't believe you still do that.
Yeah.
It's pretty
There you
pretty
go.
impressive. And I will call out again that Kevin Larrabee's awesome Back in My Play. He is back.
yeah.
He just actually posted a new episode last week about
Yay.
Castlevania 3, I believe, with Kurt Collada from
Yeah.
Gamer.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've actually recorded 2 other episodes with him so far, so those should be coming out in the coming weeks.
Yep. That is my
Awesome.
favorite Castlevania, by the way. I like that more than Symphony of the Night. Just
Oh, wow.
point of reference.
It's a
And
good
better
game.
than Super
Pretty
Castlevania
close,
4.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Super Castlevania 4. Kind of love that game. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
so I just want to call that out again because I'm so happy that he's back. And
Yes.
he's been, he's invited me on a couple times, which is great because I love doing those shows. I love just hanging out and talking about games with Kevin because he's so excited about them. And
Yes.
yeah, it's great. So
Cool.
check it out, backinmyplay.com. Anything for you, Phil?
No.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna go see Ratchet and Clank tonight if anyone wants to meet me at
you
the
there?
theater. Yeah, you
When
can
we
buy
hear
me a
this on the
popcorn.
third?
Buy me some popcorn. We can go sit in the back row. You know what I mean. Oh yeah.
So I'm surprised you're not taking Finn to it.
Go all Pee Wee Herman in that theater.
Oh yeah.
By the way,
Finn
the
has
new
not-
movie was terrible.
Finn has not seen a movie in the theater yet.
Oh, okay.
What? Really?
Yeah, we have not
Huh.
taken it. We we don't
I
want
thought
to be.
you-
Too much respect for other moviegoers?
Phil,
Well,
I
that's
thought
just
you,
it.
I thought you loved your son.
I do, and you know what though? I also love a good movie-going experience. So I'm not going to bring my kid into a
Pretty
theater
selfish.
and have him, get bored halfway through and think, wanna go. What I'm planning on doing is this summer, I will take him to one of those, they have those kind of summer movie matinees for kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
We used to do that with our kids all the time when they were really young.
Yeah, we'll go see a movie that he's already seen, that he's familiar with. So if he gets a little distracted, it's not a big deal, and she'll do that. Basically, I'm hoping for an excuse to see the Lego Movie in a theater again.
Fantastic.
It's kind of what I'm aiming for.
And that's our show for this week. Thank you for listening. You should head over to player1podcast.com so you can check out some blog posts. I've done a couple Sega CD ones lately. I did one on Night Trap past week, which I was really happy with. I don't know if you read that or not, Phil, but
I haven't had a chance to yet.
You should check it out.
Oh, really?
Some really cool information in there. It's not just a review of the game.
Let me tell you this, Greg. Love is easy by the light of day. What?
I appreciate it. And also posts about Generation 16. Episode 17 is now live. Still working on episode 18. But it shouldn't take 9 months like last time, I hope. Some really cool stuff coming up in that one as well. I think people will enjoy it when it gets done. But the most important part of that website is our forum, where our excellent community of listeners and non-listeners get together to talk about everything from, everything. About how much they don't like Polygon.com to what they've been playing, to is Nintendo crazy because the NX isn't coming out until March next year, and so on and so forth. And every now and then they say, oh yeah, I listened to the show and it was alright. So please go check it out. Come chat with us. Talk about games. Talk about anything you want. It's a great little community. It's honestly, for me, my favorite part about what this show has become. I love it. I love going there. I love hanging out and talking with people.
Jeez, kind of overselling it. It's just a forum, man.
It's a good one.
I made some friends there. It's great.
It's active too. A lot of good conversations every day.
I know. Okay.
Your turn.
Oh, okay. If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by going to the iTunes Music Store. While you're at the iTunes Music Store, you can also invest $1.99.
Cheap!
There you go. Pick up the Player One Podcast iPhone application. Gives you one-touch communication with us via the emails and the Twitters and the what have you. You also have all of our episodes ready to stream right to your listening device. And you know what? That $1.99, that's a spending cap. You're not going to have to...
That's right. We will not charge you again.
Yeah. No DLC, no IAP, no POOP, or...
Really? You had to make it weird.
And hey, Android telephone users, the Player One Podcast iPhone application is your list devices on for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
You're buying that right over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace. We're also on Stitcher Radio. You can like us on Facebook. You can check us out live, or watch archives of our past episodes at the YouTubes, youtube.com/P1 Podcast. You can follow our Twitter account to find out when we'll be broadcasting our next live episode. And if you've liked what you heard, and how could you can head over to patreon.com/P1 Podcast. Toss a few shekels our way. Every dollar you give us is another dollar we can bribe CJ to not show up. And don't we have a good time when he doesn't? Right,
Amen.
Greg?
Yes.
Oh,
Right,
and when
Ethan?
Yep. And when Phil was mentioning the alphabet soup of games analytics, there is a term that is RP-poo.
RP-poo?
Yeah, RP-poo.
What's
guys are
RP-poo
killing me.
mean?
Average revenue per paying user.
Jesus Christ. RP-poo.
Yeah, RP-poo.
Is this just an excuse to sit in a business meeting and say RP-poo over
You
and
get
over
to
again?
say RP-poo, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you'll
Okay,
hear them
ladies
say
and gentlemen, let's talk about RP-poo.
Ethan, stop encouraging him. Phil, finish the show.
Yes. And if you have a couple bucks left over, head over to generation-16.com. Throw a couple bucks Greg Stewart's way to help support his fantastic web series, Generation 16, which talks about the good old Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 17?
It's actually kind of appropriate that you pronounced it that way.
Why is that?
Doing a segment in the upcoming episode about the Genesis in Australia, the Mega Drive in Australia. And that's how they say Sega down there.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah,
Down
Sega.
under, it's Sega?
Sega.
Is it 17 is the latest episode?
17 is the latest episode.
Okay, so yeah, I was right. So check out episode 17. Pretty darn new. Excellent episode. Worth your time and your Patreon support.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Greg.
My
for
pleasure.
This and that and the other. Thank you, Ethan,
Oh, thank you.
for our pee-poo.
We'll be hearing
And
that for the
thank
next 10 years.
Thank you, listeners, for your pee-poo as well. We hope you pee and poo at us next week. Tune in, won't ya?
Please come back.
Or you should see, episode 500's coming up. There's going to be so much pee-poo. You're not going to know what hit you.
Ethan just got himself uninvited for episode 500.
It's, part of my nefarious plan.
In our people plan?
Pee-poo,
All right.
pee-poo.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Y'all got fake pee-poo?
Talk to you next week. Bye.
Our pee-poo. So...